Greetings and welcome to Let's Keep It Real, the podcast where it's real talk, real life, no filters. Today, I'm going to be exposing the reality of work camping in the RV industry. So, I'm going to be breaking down the pros and cons, everything that I've personally experienced, and what you need to know about work camping before you get started. So let's get into it. All right, let's get into it. So before we get started, let's break down what is work camping. So work camping is an industry that was created to benefit people who are doing RV and van life, but mainly RV life, um, to be able to provide seasonal temp work so that you can get an income, but have a mutually beneficial relationship with that business so you can be able to park and hook up, have full hookups for a seasonal point of time. So there's three basic breakdowns of work camping. So there's volunteering, and I use volunteering in quotes because volunteering has definitely gotten out of hand as far as how people um recognize service and work exchange. But the volunteering is generally a set of responsibilities that a company or business wants to exchange um, for parking convenience. Okay, this is all related to RV. Then you have barter camping, which is something that I've kind of already established, which is where it's your own set of skills, things that you're good at that you enjoy doing, you view as valuable, that you're willing to exchange for a private, generally private place to park with full hookups. So that's barter camping. And then work camping, which is today's topic, is exchange of services or pay with the benefit of being able to live on site and have homes. So when I say that, I want you to keep that in mind when we are talking about these different things, because a lot of things are getting twisted in the terminology because of all of these loopholes and exploitation that's happening within the work camping industry. But before we go into all of the negative, I want to talk about the pros of work camping because there are a lot of pros. And if you want to find out about um, how these pros are beneficial in having uh, a rent free experience for RV life, please come to my workshop that I am hosting um, April 26th, Saturday, April 26th at 2 p.m. MST, which is roughly, I think, 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, um, where I'm going to be breaking down 7 different ways where you can do RV life for free. So, and when I say RV life, I mean parking expenses for free. So, this is one in particular, which is work camping. And I'm breaking this one down because I want you to be aware of the pros and cons of work camping and what to look for when there's scams and loopholes that are being exploited. So that's what this podcast is about. Because I'm keeping it real here, keeping it all the way real. So, the pros of work camping are what we call full hookups in RV life. So full hookups are getting electricity, water, water inlet, and that's potable water that you can run into your RV, and then sewage, which is a way for you to dump the water that you used back out to the system. So that's buhok. It's a three-part exchange or a three-part uh, system that is exchanged for work. Uh, for RVers, these are our main living or parking expenses that we deal with. And so these are can be major expenses for a lot of us. And that's why this industry was created to be able to alleviate some of those parking expenses. And I talk about a bunch of other free ways that you can park and alleviate parking expenses in my workshop on April 26th. But anyways, so with work camping, these generally happen in a seasonal capacity. So there is the winter season and then there's the summer season. The winter season is generally including the fall season going into the spring, and then the winter season is also the fall season going into the winter and leading out of the spring. So those are the two main seasons of work camping season within this lifestyle. Now, within the lifestyle, there's a couple of different jobs within work camping that fall into that. So most of what you're gonna find on different work camping sites that I will tell you about in my free workshop. Uh, but you can type into Google work camping jobs, and it will bring up a couple different sites that you can go on, and there's job posts that you can go and look for work camping jobs based on the area that you want to be in or what's just available right at that time. You're not worried about the general vicinity. But the most of the time, these jobs are at campgrounds and RV parks because they thrive on having people live on site and provide services for their customers. But then there's also other seasonal jobs, like you have the pumpkin season, you have the fireworks season, you have Christmas tree season. These different things. A lot of times, if you may have not even noticed this, but you'll see a RV parked in the parking lot of these places a lot of times when you're going to pick up your pumpkin or your Christmas tree or whatever. And those people are campers. And so you have those type of seasonal jobs, and then you also have some other different traditional ones that I'll talk about later. But in general, the purpose of work camping is to be able to alleviate your living expenses in exchange for services to alleviate those living expenses. So you're basically doing a exchange with that company to be able to live and work on site. And so that's basically what work camping is. Uh, Now, it happens in many different formats, and there's a lot of different amenities that go in place when it comes to work camping. And another pro aside from being able to live rent free and have a lot of your basic needs as far as RV life is concerned, is electricity, water, and sewage. Those are the main things that are considered full hookups. You also get additional amenities in a lot of cases, which include like free propane, which for RVers is how we cook and how we have hot water. Um, and then you have free laundry, which is a huge thing. You know, a lot of people ask, like, how do you do your laundry? Some people have their own laundry set up in their RVs that come with that. But most cases, you have to do your laundry at a laundromat. And so they provide free laundry access. Uh, and then a lot of times there's a lot of amenities at these RV parks and campgrounds that you're there to utilize in the first place. That's the reason why you pick these locations. And and then there might be like free Wi-Fi, free cable, right, cable TV. We can go plug in your there's like a little cable thing at the electricity box, which you could plug into your cable source that's in your RV and be able to watch free whatever they have available, just like a hotel. Um, and so these are things that are valuable for RVers to be able to alleviate that expense because our parking expenses can add up in RV life and it can be equivalent in some cases to a traditional lifestyle. Uh, but doing a work camping exchange is a way to have your living expenses, is your rent, your parking fees, your water, and your sewer taken care of without having to worry about that. Now, the other pros that come along with that is being able to have a stable routine and to have a community. So, a lot of times when you're parked at RV parks or in any, situation where you're work camping, you gain a sense of community with the other work campers there and or if it's an RV park or campground with the other long-term campers or frequent campers that are there. So you have this sense of community there if you want to have that. And then also you're being somewhere and being there part term or full-time nomads is a game changer because we're able to establish a routine. And that includes like working out, going for a walk, having a regular shower, uh, having our dogs be able to do activities, having a stable place to be able to take calls or whatever. So the stability and routine that comes with, you know, work camping, okay, I'm gonna go work for a couple hours. Then during that time, I do that, and then I get off. I can do what I need to do, walk her dogs, da da da. But all in all, after all of that said and done, I'm not paying rent at the end of the day, and that is great. The community aspect, I'm an introvert, so I'm an ambivert, but I'm introvert leaning. So it's like I like having social activities be available to me, but not having, I'm not always gonna participate also, but I like them being available. And in a lot of these RV communities with work camping, you have other uh work campers that are there that you establish, a camaraderie with just based off of that. And then also, just if it's an RV park or campground, there's a community there of people who are like-minded and doing the same thing as you. So it's really nice to have that. Uh, the other pro is it's easy work. It's generally, in general, okay, not always, it's generally easy work because I would say 90% of work camping is related to camping. So it's related to facilitating the convenience of camping at RV parks, campgrounds, like campgrounds include state parks, national parks, all that stuff. RV parks include like resorts and commercial, trailer parks and RV parks. Uh, so they provide this convenience so that it's easy for you to be able to do all the things that need to do. Uh but like the jobs are generally simple. So the jobs that you can look forward to generally are going to be they separate this sexually, and I'll talk about that in the cons. But you have front office work or customer service. You check in people in, you have the people make reservations over the phone or in person, uh, things like that. Any type of customer service type thing. And then they also have maintenance, which is including like bathroom maintenance, which is a major priority within work camping, is keeping the bathhouses clean. Then there's general grounds maintenance, which is like the foliage, the bushes, trees, the grass, the pool, the trash on the grounds. It's really sad that people don't understand to clean up after themselves and take their trash with them. It's a really sad thing that is a basic humanity deficit. People don't know how to clean up after themselves. Not to expect that people are gonna come back to clean up after them. Like that, I can go down a whole rant of that, but we're not gonna do that today. But in general, it's easy work. So you have like maintenance type stuff for customer service type things. And it's generally a low expectation of hours in exchange for your park. They understand that you're there because you want to experience the area and what this RV park has to offer. Uh, and so you're not trying to be out there slaving and doing a bunch of stuff. And they generally try to be fair, like giving you the same days off as if you're with a couple. You're a lot of times, if you're solo, um, it's it's very hard to find some positions as solo, and I'll talk about that more. But of what positions that are open for solo, but they generally just try to make there be a work-life balance because they understand that people are RV life in because they on island time. They're doing what they want to do, and they don't want. They know that capitalism still exists, at least in the United States. All this information is from Terra Premises, and specifically for people who live in the United States. Because I don't know how it happens in Europe. I don't know how it happens in other places. I'm sure it's different. This is all information for people who are RVing in the United States. Uh, but yeah, so it's generally an easy and reasonable work exchange of responsibilities and hours in exchange for what you are getting as far as amenities. Full hookups should be basic. Having electric, water, and sewer should be basic, and then everything else should be bonus. With free laundry, free propane, cable, free Wi-Fi, all that stuff. But this is also great for people who want to just have a minimalist lifestyle in general. You work where you live, you don't have to commute. You make money because of the fact that you decided to have an RV as your main living dwelling place. And you could be part of the tourist industry by being conveniently on site. So like there's just so many benefits for people. Like if you just want an alternative lifestyle, if you want to have a lifestyle that where you can live cheaply, where you could it's a very social lifestyle, and it's a different social lifestyle. It's like working at Trader Joe's. I've never worked at Trader Joe's, but the people that work at Trader Joe's, I can only agree to that they love their job. But those people are so excited to see everybody when they come in. It's just like they have a whole different aspect of customer service when you see that, and the expectation of what they serve for their customers, which they genuinely come off relief. that they really enjoy being there and they really want to help you find what you need to get so that you can eat good. It's been a minute since I've been to Trader Joe's. I really want to go to Trader Joe's. I don't know if it's Trader Joe's where I'm at right now. Anyways, so yeah, there's definitely even more pros that go along with that. But the major pro of work camping is to live rent free. In exchange for some services, but you get to live and work on site. That eliminates commuting fees. It eliminates commuting time, the time that you spend to like what time you set your alarm for. You get up for work and have your coffee or your tea, and smoke, or in my case, uh, or whatever before you go to work. Like it eliminates that whole, a good hour of time that you would need to do all that stuff if you had a food drive time, commute time. So I consider it a benefit versus a necessity, because there's a lot of places to park for free that don't include a work exchange of any type. And I talk about that in my free workshop, Road to Freedom, How to Live Rent Free, free RV. That is a full-time RVer. Plug. But yeah, so there's plenty of ways to not have to work, but this is a pretty sweet deal of being able to make money and live rent free. But unfortunately, as all capitalist um, cultures in our society, there are cons that are created because of outdated models and exploitation. And there's quite a bit of exploitation that is going on within the work camping model, um, of some of these businesses. And these are major businesses within the RV life industry that are exploiting the work camping model, which is to be able to exchange parking for services to assist the company in their business endeavors. Now, if you are doing anything outside of that, which is running the business, they should be paying you. I'll get into that. But yeah, so the cons of the work camping industry is that there's a lot of exploitation. There's a lot of slave labor. There's a lot of outdated models of like what their expectations should be. And that comes because of how the work camping industry was originally started. Uh, the work camping industry really took hold within the RV park and mainly campground, state park and national park campground um, industry, where people would volunteer to come for the summer or a time where they would normally be off work and they might be camping anyway and want to be somewhere warm for the summer. Uh, Now, these were not your just average people. These were retirees. In most cases, this is retirees who are rich white people who could afford an RV and could afford not to have to work because their pension, the Social Security, or whatever it is, retirement money was allowing them to be able to live the luxurious lifestyle or the same lifestyle they lived before, but now in mobility. Count on them. Ain't nobody spending $401,000 over a lifespan of what should be the next 20 or 30 years of your life. That's amount. They think that's math that you expire within 10 years. live a glamorous life. We're not here. But on and on down that rabbit hole. Uh, but the main thing is to say that it is stuck in the past. So a lot of people who were getting a pension, getting a social security, like, oh, no problem to be able to work a couple hours a week so I can stay down here in a very nice, luxurious place for the winter time, or a very luxurious place where it's cooler for the summertime. Uh, and not have to pay for where I'm staying. I don't mind helping you guys out doing that. They was low responsibility jobs that could be there or not there, but the business could run with or without this person being there. But it was a bonus, was the cherry on top, if somebody could be there, because it enhanced the customer experience. Anytime you enhance the customer experience, more money. And that's how capitalism works. Uh, but yeah, so that's how it was like really started. And so it was low hours, low responsibility jobs, easy jobs for generally no pay. It was just a volunteer exchange uh, of services where you're doing something that they need for you to do to help out, and you agree to do that in exchange for a place to park that's nice for you and is reasonable for you for that season that you're there. So that's how it kind of originally started, and that blossomed into a lot of the RV industry businesses believing that, so we can just get like if we just like set up a place where we can come apart and chill for a little bit, and we just like make them work a really long time for a couple of hours, for a really long hours, and just be like, okay, you got to pay for your spot, and then you can make some money. And so this loophole was created within this industry. And with every capitalist business, people are going to take advantage of loopholes. Now, some people do it in a beneficial way, and some people do it in an exploitative way. And I've kind of witnessed firsthand on how these are being done. There's definitely an unequal exchange of work and wages that's happening. I mean, I experienced this working on a cruise ship. When I was in my early 20s, I worked for Norwegian Cruise Line. Now, they provide food and housing and all this stuff in exchange for you working, and then you make money working. But they deduct a lot of stuff out of your check of things that it should just be come along, that should be included. You know what I'm saying? So when you take to work camping, like, they're not giving you no benefits. They're not giving you, workers' comp if you get hurt doing some dumb shit for them, blowing the lawn or helping somebody or whatever. You don't get no workers' comp. You're not getting any paid time off. They're not contributing to your 401k. None of that stuff. So the fact that they're benefiting from you working on site, from you living on site and then working for them. They're benefiting from that. Remember that, if anything, they are benefiting from that. You are mutually benefiting from that, because that's something that you need at that particular time. There are other options for you to do other things. So remember that they are in more of a need than you are of a need for a job, because you can work anywhere. You can work anywhere. You can figure out how to park anywhere and do regular sticks and bricks just like how you were doing before, and live in an apartment and commute to work. But if you're going to be working if you're going to be doing RV life to free yourself, or you want to have a more simple life and do work and live and work at the same place, needs to be a mutually beneficial relationship. And a lot of these companies are trying to exploit that. So just be aware of that. So some of the companies that I've recently um come to find out about this. One where I personally applied to and had a interview and realized that like the math wasn't mathing, and I was like, how, what? Oh, so that particular company is KOA. Yeah, I'm putting them on blast because we keeping it real over here, okay? Keeping it real. So I had applied, when I was doing, trying to look for winter jobs and just work camping jobs in general. I had, applied for KOA. KOA is a major brand within the RV camping industry, and they have a chain of RV parks throughout the country. And I applied for their work camping uh, positions for the wintertime. So I'm always looking for a place to have luxury for free. And I don't mind exchanging some time for that. And so when I first had the first interview with KOA, the person was telling me, okay, you work 35 hours a week or whatever, and you get paid, I don't remember how much it was, so like $14 an hour, $14 an hour. You get paid for all of your hours. You have to work at least 20 hours to pay for a spot. And the spot was like, it's like $900 a month, right? They're saying that 20 hours a week or 25 hours a week or whatever it was would cover that. And I'm like, that doesn't make sense. How are we getting paid this much per hour? There's no way that would cover how much it costs for us to stay here. And it turned out that we're paying and working there. Now, that is not a problem in regular life industry, not RV industry, but where you're expected to figure out how you commute and where you work. They don't talk about any of that stuff. It's just come to work, be on time, that. But when you're advertising it, using it to attract people who are retired or attracting people who live in RVs, you can get them to live on site and work for you. But they have to pay almost full price, not fully, because somehow within that loophole, you're giving them a little bit of a discount on their park. A little bit, like not even enough to be like, oh, okay. But like a little bit where they're just like, okay, so I'm getting an employee discount. Um, and that's not work camping, but that's how they're advertising. KOA is one of the main ones that's doing it. I found out CalAm CAL-AM. It's another brand that's doing it. They're major in Arizona. They're 55 and up brand. So you have to be at least 40 to work there and do any of this stuff. They make you pay. They don't tell you this not even in the fine print. Like you either have to be very intuitive to find out, to realize and not fall for it and go for it once you have the first interview, or you fuck around and find out. Like you go and you're like, oh, I have to pay to be here, and I have to work full time, and I have to run your business, and it's stressful, and it's not worth it, and it's crowded. It's like, it's not my day. Like, I mean, I'm an introvert, so I do like private stuff. And that's why I've enjoyed doing barter camping, which is a whole nother video that I've done like at least 2 times about talking about, the benefits of barter camping and how to get a barter camping position. which is something you range on your own based off of your own skills, and you leverage your own talents for a private deal to be able to park and get full bus for a short or long amount of time. But these traditional work camping things, like they realize all this stuff, and there's a lot of there's a lot of major brands that are exploits, and I don't like that. Like when I found out about this, I was just like, from the first experience with talking with the recruiter with KOA, like in my brain, I was like, the math doesn't math. Like, how is it $900 a month to be there, but technically we're only gonna make $400 a month in the amount of money of the 25 hours a week. So that means we'd have to pay $500 a month to be there, but that would come out of the money of the extra money that we're working. So all the money that we were for, like, it just didn't make any sense. And because the RV life industry is not full of retirees anymore, it's definitely, there's a lot of thriving millennials and Gen Zs and late Gen Xers that are thriving in RV life as an alternative way to live, not because it's, they got into it because, it's too expensive to live the other way. It's because they wanted freedom. They wanted to be able to have the choice to be able to travel. They wanted to be able to have the freedom to do whatever they wanted with the money they had. And so work camping is a small window in which we can stop and be stationary. Generally, it happens during the winter months because that's when a lot of seasonal work is ramped up to have all the seasonal holidays. It's cold, it's winter. Nobody really wants to move around that time. You move around during the summer and the spring would be nice. Your energy is in that place and align with that place. So winter is when people do these work camping jobs. So that's when they generally thrive. But yeah, so then the other disparity within work camping life, which is another outdated reality, which is the favoritism and sexism within the couples. So a lot of work camping positions that you'll find on these websites want to recruit couples. Why? Because they get double the work for one parking spot. That's number one. And two, there's this sexist divide of tasks in which they're able to exploit to get free labor to run their businesses. So generally 90% of work camping happens in the RV life industries, RV parks and campgrounds. And so what their two main places where they need help is customer service and maintenance. So they divide these positions up sexistly. They say the wife goes into the front office and she does, all the front office tasks, which is checking in people and, that type of thing. All that front end work. And then the husband or the male partner would be the grounds maintenance person who takes care of the trash and trimming and landscape type work or any type of fixing of stuff within the bathrooms or whatever, or bathroom maintenance. And I mean, are we really, like, for real? This is 2025. We're dividing tasks in that way, which makes absolutely no sense, because in a lot of cases, those roles are reversed. The husband is more personable to be customer service, and the wife is more likely to do maintenance. Why? She does all the fucking work around the house. Like, why would she go in and talk to people in the front desk? Like, it just doesn't make sense. They do that based on the sexist roles, outdated models, and finding a loophole to be able to run their businesses without having to pay anybody. Because they believe that a place to park is a highly valuable ticket item. And it's not. It's not anymore, unfortunately. It's just not. There's so many ways to park for free. There's BLM land, there's Cracker Barrels, there's Walmarts, there's way too many ones today. And I have 7 different ways that I talk about. And work camping is only one of them. So there's 6 other different ways that I know how to park for free. And so to get other services, for free, other amenities with some of these, your laundry, your Wi-Fi, you can get some of those things with some of the free options that I talk about. And you can also just have that as a convenience to some of the free parking options that I talked about. So them offering that for people now who are very willingly and able to live off grid, and also people who need to make a living wage as a millennial or Gen Z who's not out here trying to trade labor because they get into Social Security or some vet money or some, pension money. They still want to make money, even if it's just going toward their savings for the work in which they're putting in to help you run your business. Oh, but yeah, there's definitely a sexist divide within that. That is, but yeah, but the biggest thing for me as far as like the cons within the work camping industry is the barter scam, the abuse of the idea of volunteer, the abuse of the idea of like people should pay for their spot because it's a convenience for the company for you to be there. It's not, it is a convenience for you to be there, but it is as a benefit. But it is more in benefit for the company to be there, for you to be there on site for many, many reasons. And they exploit that idea to make it look like that they're doing you a favor. And they're not. You can park right down the street at the Cracker Barrel. You know what I'm saying? Like that it's not going to cover your food. It's not going to cover your insurance or any of your other bills by being there. And then working for them for that spot. So they need to realize that what they're offering is a benefit because they're not offering 401k. They're offering time off, paid time off. They're not offering workers' comp if you get hurt while you're on the job there, which is very likely at some of these positions. Or any other beneficial benefits that a company would offer as an added bonus on top of your salary, right? So the fact that they're using that as a salary substitution, like, oh, okay, you work this many hours, this covers your spot and it will pay you the rest of whatever hours you work. No, that's bullshit. That is scam. Just so you know. But I want to talk about my personal experiences and why I have this kind of disdain and why I want to expose the work camping industry for what it is. So one of my first positions was working for Amazon Camper Force, which kind of fell off, I think in like 2022, 2023, and it just came back. Like they ghosted RVers for like a year and a half, and then they're all right. Just kidding. We fuck with you. Wish you doing it later. They speak to the program like that because it like basically fell off the grid for like a year, where they didn't tell nobody they was gonna get rid of it. At least they didn't tell any external people. They might have told the people that were already working and doing it. But anyways, my first experience was working with Amazon campers, which this seasonal work position, the perks were that, and at that time when I was working, they were paying $50 an hour to work for Amazon, and they also covered your full expense of the RV park, and they also set up that RV park. Like they had affiliate programs with a few RV parks in the area, and they would only work with them. Now, and since I worked for them and before they shut down the program, and now that they've revamped the program, the way that the program works is that they give you an additional stipend, including additional stipend on your check uh, that's included with the pay that you work uh, to cover your RV park expenses, which is up to $120 weekly. And then you also make $15 an hour. So you go and work at Amazon's uh, warehouse facility during their seasonal peak times, which is generally during the holiday winter season of Thanksgiving and um, Christmas and stuff like that. So that's generally when like their biggest peak hours. But they also have their Amazon Prime summertime, which is like July, I want to say. Like, so they also offer stuff during that time as well, because they just do it during when they have high hours and they need to show up. If you are smart and you work for Amazon and you don't live in an RV right now, which they're paying you extra, live in an RV. You can live wherever it is that they have this program. But I digress. So I work for working for Amazon itself is very much like you see the doc. It's very grueling warehouse type work with expectations. I feel like the expectations are definitely lower when it comes to the camper force workers. They put them in a separate department and they have separate responsibilities and metrics that they are uh, required to, you know, keep, but it's not nearly as much or as much pressure as the full-time workers of people that are there full-time and permanent. And you get a free campsite. And a lot of times these campgrounds are pretty nice. You know what I'm saying? Like I did it my first year of RV life on my first RV. And I did it in Indiana during the summer. It snowed like 2 weeks after I got there, which I was like, really upset about because I don't like snow and I don't want to see snow at any time. But I was there and it was a pretty nice campground, like where the bathhouses were. It was like a private shower room with a toilet and everything, so you could poop and pee and shower all in one room without having to share with anybody else. So that was nice, and that was the first time I experienced all of that. But and the I mean the campgrounds that they chose at the time were very very far away from the warehouse. And I think that, and they had specific requirements of like what your rig could be and how long it could be and da da da. So during their transition before they shut the program off in I think 2023, um, they had changed it to, instead of them just paying the fee for the campgrounds and booking it and you just deciding which one you want to go to, they made it so that they just give you a stipend every week to go toward your campground fees, and you just pick wherever you want to go, but you have to live in an RV park, for the duration of your seasonal work, which is a fair trade, because if you can find somewhere cheap, or even maybe if you can find like an individual thing where you can prove that you can pay. I really don't know exactly how it works, but I know they give you $120 extra per week to go toward your camping and RV park fees. So
why not? You know what I'm saying? Like, if you're already working for if you're already working in the warehouse for Amazon, I don't know why you're not choosing to like figure out how to get into an RV, because they're paying people to be in an RV seasonally. And some of those seasonal people, a lot of people that I met when I first started doing it, like, they were seasonal. They were considered seasonal because it's not a full time employee, so they don't get any benefits or pay time off or anything like that. But they worked year round. They were there all year round because they lived in that area. It just made sense to them to get an RV because then they could be paid to stay there, and then they didn't have to pay rent. It's a rent loophole. There's no reason not to take advantage of that. But yeah, I worked for that. I did that for a couple months during the high peak season of between Thanksgiving and Christmas, going into the new year. And what's nice about Amazon is they pay you $15 an hour. And before, they didn't pay that much when I first started, but that's the standard now. But also you get a um, completion bonus. Like, if you stay for the time that they say you want to stay for your contract, basically, you get a completion bonus for staying for that full time. Some people realize, oh, this is some bullshit. I'm not doing all this. Or I didn't sign up for this. Or whatever it is that might have happened. I'm sure there's plenty of turnover in Amazon, as there would be at any type of warehouse job. But if you stay there for the completion of the time that you signed up for, you get a completion bonus, which is nice. So it's like, why not? But yeah, I did that, and it was really nice. I was able to live off of the money that I made from that and the completion bonus and all that stuff for 2-3 months after that. Um, that little position. So that worked out great for me to be able to live rent free and then also not have to worry about working for another couple months. Um, so yeah, that's definitely an option that you should look into if you're looking for work camping in your area. If you're in an area right now and you're trying to look for a way out or a way to reduce your your living expenses, if there's an Amazon in your Amazon warehouse within your vicinity, find out if they offer the Camper Force program, because it's not that expensive to get a used RV and to get into that program. So the next thing that it's part of my personal experience would be something that I got to experience this past summer, which was being a camp host, which is something I've always wanted to do, and if you believe it, you will receive it. um, I got to be a camp host at a state park in Southwest Colorado, which was Navajo State Park, just right on a lake. It had mountain view, lake view. It's wonderful. But their program, they hadn't done a work camping program for a couple of years. So that means for, the last couple, summers up until when I got there was nobody there camp hosting. And the main duties of the camp host at this particular park, and a lot of different parks, is to greet and or be the facilitator or the liaison after hours between you and the campers that are there that are coming in. So if they have questions about anything, or if you need to enforce any rules they might be breaking, and you don't really enforce it, you just kind of let them know. There's a park ranger that will enforce the rules, but you're there to just like let them know the rules or any questions that they might have. My main duty was just like selling firewood. that was my main thing when people came and knocked on my door. It wasn't them. Every once in a while, people was like, "Oh, I paid for this spot, but I saw this spot over here, and I don't see anybody over there. Is it okay if I go over there?" And I was like, the technical or the official answer is no. You need to book it online. But I don't care. Do whatever you want to do. But outside of that question, my next main responsibility was selling firewood. We would get a couple of bundles of firewood and a little small till, and we would sell firewood to people that wanted to have a nice fire for the summer. And yeah, that was our main responsibility. And then we would also turn over the site. So go clean the different campsites when the people would leave. And it was, most people were good about taking their trash. But it was the fire rings that would need to be cleaned out, leftover camp stuff or cigarette butts or whatever. That would be left in the fire ring. So it's usually just fire ring maintenance and then also trimming, because in the summer, things are growing, things are budding at a rapid pace, and you want to keep it maintenance as much as you can. And so that was another one of our main duties. But none of this stuff was like, and I can't speak on all like camp host positions as far as like how they calculate the hours. This one, because the program was restarting, like nobody was really keeping track of what we were doing, and it was all chaotic, kind of shit show kind of thing. But in general, it's low responsibilities with a very minimal what's the word? Minimal supervision of what you're doing, and minimal expectations, but you get in return a place to stay for the summer, yada yada yada. So that was the other one. Navajo State Park was really beautiful. The other thing that was our responsibility that kind of got, I don't know what the word is, like miscommunicated as a responsibility was, so this particular one, because it was on a lake as well, they had a marina that you could bring your boat and go out on the lake and stuff like that. And they had like the ramp to go to the boat, to the water, was like this very steep downhill thing, and then the parking lot up at the top of the hill. So we had a bunch of different motorized vehicles that would cater to people doing that and being able to help them. Like if they were dropping off their boat and they had to bring their vehicle back up, we would be at the top so that we can assist them and bring them back down to get to their boat. Or if they were coming out of their boat and getting ready to come back up and get their truck or trailer or whatever, that we would grab them from the bottom there and then bring them up to their truck. So we had like a shuttle service that we did that was probably too much for too many people to try to manage for a volunteer thing, especially when things weren't coordinated or organized. But that was another thing, which was not a problem for me. It just wasn't like organized when it was coming together. But generally, when it comes to camp hosting positions, it's a low responsibility, low hours. It's minimally supervised, and it's easy, fun job to have if you pick the right location. You're at a place that you want to be, that you want to explore for the summertime or the wintertime, and it works out great. And then the last one that I've recently done, which recently wrapped up just a couple weeks ago, was probably, I would say, if I would have to rank it, out of 10, it was probably maybe a 5.5 or 6 out of 10. As far as what it was. Now, it was a cool job. It was a cool place, just in general. Like, it's a very cool touristy location to explore, just in general. But when you get to see the behind the scenes, and you get to be a part of the everyday operations, and you see how disgusting it is, that how people are running a business, and you're just like, are you for real? Like, this is for real? Like, you guys are really making money doing it this way, and you guys are okay doing it this way. uh this was probably like the worst of like the expectations versus the reality of it, because I saw this position as a last minute position. It was a work camping position. This is working at Castle Dome Museum in Mines. Pointing it out. Yes, I will tell you all the names of the places. So that if you can make an informed decision on whether or not you want to be a part of the chaos. But um the whole setup that they have there is beautiful. Like, it's off grid, it's all solar, and that's what I'm all about. It's like all solar setup. It's wind generated and solar generated as far as electricity. But it's an off grid setup, and then they have their land where they have an asset there where they're showcasing a museum and an old mine, which they have set up so beautifully. Which I'm like, y'all can live down in that mine, real talk. Like, anything pops off, you better move operations to the mines underground. But it was like such a cool job that it was like hard to like see some of the red flags of what they were trying to do. But this was definitely people who, I don't want to say they intentionally were exploiting the work camping, the outdated work camping model. Like, maybe not. I mean, I can't speak to their character that much in depth, but I definitely just think that they were going along with a system that they thought would work, because they're in the middle of nowhere. Our number one frequently asked question that I got while I was working there is like, do you live out here, or do you commute here every day? Because it was a 7.5 mile dirt road to get there. Let's just have a moment of silence for that. Yes, people drove down a dirt road for 7.5 miles, which is easily 20 minutes in a car. It's 45 minutes to an hour in an RV, just for context. And they came down, and that was one of their main questions. Like, do you guys work here and work and come down here every day? Like, that's insane. Yeah, it is insane. That's why there was people working there. And that's why they had to make a work camping model, because nobody was going to come down there and help them unless they stayed there. But unfortunately, their expectations of helping running the business and what they were offering in return is so outdated. It's so exploitative. Can't think of the word. Um, and it's unfortunate because they're good people, and I just don't think they know. There's old people that just don't know that what they are offering in return for what they want in return. What the services and things that they are wanting for help and what they are offering in return is not an equal exchange. It's not even a work camping exchange, to be quite honest. It doesn't fall under the volunteer and or barter camping exchange. And basically their setup is that you work 3 days, which they don't tell you how many hours you're working within those 3 days, which you could easily bust out almost 40 hours. No, I would say get over 30 hours within those 3 days. When it comes to opening and closing duties and all this shit. Um, But you're basically running the operations of the business there, which is tourism, running the tours, and operating the museum, which is the whole business model. And they're paying a stipend of $100 when you work extra days. But the electricity you're getting is off grid. They're not paying for the electricity. I'm sure they paid to set it up, but they're not paying for it now. The whole point of it is for it to be free. Um, but they don't offer any additional amenities outside of the full hookups, which would be electric, water, and sewage, right? Which are, for me, I was only offered 15 amps, which I thought I was getting 30 amps. And I won't go into a whole electricity breakdown, but 15 amps is basically half. 30 amps is full for me. Some people have RVs that are 50 amps, and that would be full hookups for them. I didn't get full hookups. I got partial hookups, which was not what I was expecting. And I was working over 40 hours for $200 a week. Like, that was not what I was expecting, but I didn't realize it until I was already out there. The things that you should offer, if that's what's going to be the case: free laundry. No free laundry. You have to go into town, which is an hour away, to do laundry. Food. There was no real food alternative. I mean, they had a food truck that had some junk, but that wasn't even set up properly to be able to even say, "Oh, you can eat from the food truck." And what else? Like the Wi-Fi, we're in the middle of nowhere. They had their own Starlink, but they didn't make that available to anybody else. What else would be offered? Free propane or free water, other things that would make it worth it to be out in the middle of nowhere, running and operating a business nobody else would do because it's in the middle of nowhere. There was no incentive to that, and it was the only place that I felt the most exploited, because I don't mind volunteering and giving back, especially if it's a cool job or whatever, but I want to volunteer to something where I feel like I'm giving back to a community. This was not giving back to anybody. This was profiting for a family of rich white people. This was not a barter exchange of me providing my own skills to be able to help out with this, to help this business out in exchange for what would be a mutually beneficial relationship. That wasn't it either. And this is what really started to put me on the trail of like the exploitation of what's happening in the work camp industry. The other clue that put me on was, prior to even setting any of this up with the Castle Dome Museum and other volunteering and seeing these other similar, they're not the only ones. There are other companies out there. There's other RV parks and campgrounds that are still using this outdated model, that think that they can have, where they can run their business off of free labor, like that, and it not be a fair exchange of work and benefits, to the exchange. I've seen that before, but I've never really experienced it up until then. And so, but prior to that, though, I had learned about the Cal-Am scam, where they not only do they want to exploit the labor of RVers coming in and helping them with it, but they don't even have their shit together to even be able to like do it the right way. Like, the turnover is so high because they're exploiting not only, getting free labor, but like labor laws and, people getting injured and, all of these different things that nobody's even talking about, which is unfortunate. because of all the things that people are protecting, of labor and jobs, people having jobs, and people taking jobs. Like, this is not even a topic of discussion of the exploitation that's happening within the work camping industry, within RVers and retirees and veterans and all that stuff. Um, but yeah, so these are just definitely cons that you should definitely like look out for. But within my personal experience, I've had mostly a good experience of like the exchange of expectations and the exchange of expectations and responsibility to what they give you as a benefit, outside of the full hookups. So I've had like, good experiences, and this last one not so good experiences. And it doesn't have anything to do necessarily with the how it ended. It was more about what I realized once I got in there and I got trained and I learned what my responsibilities were and what I was expected to do in exchange for what I was getting. And I just was like, this is not a fair exchange. But at that point, it was too late for me in the moment when I realized this for me to like make a pivot. It took me a couple weeks before I was able to like make a pivot and get out of there, because I'm not gonna put up with no bullshit for too long. But yeah. What needs to change in the work camping industry is that these businesses need to recognize that if you are for profit and you are using work campers for labor, that all work should be compensated, and that full hookups should be a benefit, not something they need to work off. Because you're not offering any other benefit for them as a seasonal worker. It is in your benefit that they are there full time and living on site. You breaking off some bread for them to be able to be there saves you money in a lot of different areas. So stop making it seem like it is something that they need to, that is a necessity for them to have in order for them to work for you. I'm saying this to all businesses that are exploiting work campers. But work campers are not retirees anymore. They're not all retirees anymore. It's not just people looking for something to do because they're bored, because they're so conditioned to the rat race, they don't know what to do, and they're off time. In my off time, I plan to do a bunch of stuff that doesn't require me making any money. I don't know. I wish and hope that for all the millennial retirees as we move our way into those age groups. Right now, millennials are in their 40s, pushing 50s. As we move into our retirement age, I wish that we are only doing work if we so choose to call it work, or that it be work, that it be things that require us to not work so hard and not be so present in that way. Um, and if you choose to live in an RV, then you can be able to live free and not be able to slave away to help somebody run their business. Anyways, but yeah, RV parks need to realize, and the RV work camping industry needs to realize that it's not retirees with a pension. You're getting, if you want to have quality engagement and quality workers that are coming there to help run your business, you need to pay them. And people who are looking for work camping jobs, you need to be paid if you're helping them run their business. If it's a position that is a non-profit and or a business that doesn't require a lot of physical demand of responsibility in exchange for you working for them, then that's okay. But anything outside of that, you should be paying. Um, what else I think needs to be changed is some regulation. And I mean, I hate to have government involvement; they make everything worse. But there just needs to be a pushback within our community of being able to negotiate our work camping wages and responsibilities, and or there being a standard of regulation of what that means, like a shift in the mindset of what work camping represents. And it can't be running a business with free labor. That's enslavement. That's slavery. And we're not doing that. We're not doing that. But yeah, we need to push for fair wages in the work camping industry, because if we don't, it's going to continue to go down this loophole of enslavement where they're getting free labor of running their business in exchange for them being able to pay for you to be able to park. That is a benefit, not something that should be exclusively exchanged as a fair trade. And I want to make sure that that's clear, because the work camping industry has definitely sprouted a lot of exploitation when it comes to this, even within the barter exchanges of like house sitting and all of that. It's like there needs to be an equal exchange of expectations and expectations of responsibility and what you are getting in exchange for that, the gifts and or compensation that you're getting in exchange for that, because there's definitely an easily way to exploit that exchange, especially because of the standard that has been created within the work camping industry. So these are things that definitely need to change as soon as possible. And I'm one of those people. I'm not somebody that's gonna like facilitate the change, but I will definitely bring it up at the meeting. Definitely say, hey, we need to do this. But I do not have the energy to momentosize. I just made that word up. Momentosize the change of this, because it requires a lot. It requires a lot. And, this is not the only way to live rent free. It is a very convenient and a luxurious way to live rent free if you can. But it is not the only way. And so that's the reason why I'm not like buckshot, calling the shots, keep it moving, get it ready and do it. But I just wanted to make light and to shed light, not make light, shed light on the fact that there is a lot of expectation within this industry that is happening and needs to change. But if you want to know some other ways how you can live rent free while you are a full-time RVer, make sure you sign up for my free webinar that's happening Saturday, April 26th at 2 p.m. MST, where I am going to be breaking down 7 ways to live rent free as a full time RVer. And, one of the ways is work camping. And I will break down some ways of how to find those and things. But I wanted to make this video so that you guys can be aware of some of the things to look for. So when you're looking for work camping jobs, you want to make sure, obviously you're going to be drilling down looking for the location, somewhere where you actually want to be. And then something that matches your skills as far as the responsibility of the work, similar to how you would look for a job. But the exchange of work and the exchange of benefits needs to be mutually beneficial, and you need to make sure that you're not being exploited and or taken advantage of when it comes to this exchange. Um, if you're living in an RV, remember that RVs were made for you to live self-sufficiently without all of the luxuries that some of these places are providing. These are cherry on top. These are benefits of being stable, being part of a luxurious community, and things like that. So it should not be a standard of exchange. It should be a benefit, because they are not offering you any other benefits, which is a standard of the American work culture of capitalism, where you get some type of benefit in exchange on top of your hourly or yearly salary. You get some type of additional benefits, right? That's what this is. And they are not making it clear that this what this is. They're making it look like that this is what is required in order for you to get what they're offering. And I encourage everybody to check all those people. To be like, look here. You know what I'm saying? I'm not going to check everybody. But I feel like if you there and you want to work there and you want to be there and you feel like, okay, this is here for me, I want this location, check them people. You know what I'm saying? Like, make some deals, change the system, buck the system. Because they don't know. They're just going to keep going along with it as long as people are willing to go along with it. So, buck the system. Show them who really is in charge when it comes to this RV life and work camping. And make sure that it is mutually beneficial for you. And when you do that, make sure you share your experiences and all of those things with your community. Because that's how we are able to have this exchange of change, when we're able to make the change with ourselves and then share it with our community. But yeah, that was really all I wanted to talk about when it came to the work camping industry, exposing the reality of it. Like, it could be a really fun job. I've had a lot of really cool experiences and fun opportunities in certain places, and being able to see new things and experiencing new cultures, and being able to do work where the fun thing about temp work is that that it's not going to last forever. So even if, whether you like it or not, that it's temporary and that it's going to end at some point. And so sometimes that's the fun of it. But for me, I've been able to be a part of a lot of work camping and barter camping experiences that are fun jobs. Unfortunately, they are supported by, or they are being facilitated by outdated work camping models that either the owners don't know, and that's because the workers are not speaking up. And it's our job to speak up. And for me, I wanted to test it out because I wanted to see what it was like, but it's not something that I ultimately want to, continue to do, as far as being in the worker role. But I know now that, if that's something that I want to offer moving forward as a service in a business that I offer, to make sure that it is fair, and then to make sure that I recognize, you know, what the exchange of what I'm getting and what they're offering. Um, but yeah, so if you want to learn more about work camping, but in the aspect or intention of learning how to live rent free as a full time RVer, make sure you sign up for my free webinar that's happening April 26th, Saturday, April 26th at 2 p.m. MST. Um, and I'll leave the link in the description below for you to sign up for that. And yeah, I'll definitely be breaking down a bunch of ways for you to live rent free um, while doing this life. So if you don't want to take advantage of work camping as a strategic way of doing it, there is a plethora of other ways for you to live your best life for free. I'm all about the road to freedom. You can consider me the Harriet Tubman of Army life. But yeah, so that's all I have for today. Until next time, live fearlessly free, live fearlessly free, and reign supreme. Peace and blessings.